All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to talk about a very interesting topic tonight on the Report from Tiger Mountain. We're going to talk about, listen to this, Sabbatean Frankist Antinomianism. Now, that's a tongue twister if ever there was one. If you have no idea what that is, I'll try and enlighten you. Stick around tonight and have a listen. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to talk about a thing called Sabbatean Frankist Antinomianism. Now, that's very much of a mouthful. I'm going to have to unpack that one for you. First of all, I'll give you the context of why we're talking about it. It's in relation to Brigitte Macron and Emmanuel Macron, who is the leader of France. Candace Owens has been doing numerous reports, on her YouTube channel, on her podcast, etc., where she is exposing the fact that Brigitte Macron is a man. And it appears to be that is the case, because I don't think she would spend this much time examining this situation. See, for example, someone like Donald Trump would have intelligence, would have, CIA intelligence. He would have that. Someone from the CIA would say to Donald Trump, Brigitte Macron really is a man, and he would know this. And I imagine he's probably given Candace a ring. Yeah, look, you can probably run with that, right? You know what I mean? Because it's true. And so, and obviously there's a number of French investigators who've really looked into this. I don't remember the guy's name, but if you go to Candace Owens' channel, she'll tell you who it is. There's a French reporter who's done, in-depth research. Now, it appears that up to around the age of, say, 18 or 20, that Brigitte Macron was a man, that he went through a kind of transgender thing, where he became a kind of woman. And then when he was a 40-year-old woman, he then, started groping a 14-year-old Emmanuel Macron. And, another thing is, now this sounds so outlandish, I can't believe it. I personally don't believe this. But there's a rumor also that Brigitte Macron is Emmanuel Macron's actual father. So it's an incestuous, leadership. So it's actually, Emmanuel Macron is actually married to his real father. There you go. So how's that? Now, why is this even possible? If he's a man, that's bad enough. And if he's a father, it's off the charts. This is a kind of philosophy which relates back to the topic of this conversation, Sabbatean Frankist Antinomianism. Now, I'll just explain. Sabbateanism was a Jewish heresy from the 18th century and the 17th century. Sabbatean Sevi was a kind of rabbi who, was a bit of a rebel and caused trouble. And then, he rejected many of the traditional interpretations of the rabbis and of the Torah and things like this. And then along came, about 80 years later, along came Jacob Frank, who radicalized it. The simple way to understand Sabbatean Frankism, it's almost like, Jewish Satanism is a very simple way to put it. Whatever how you might interpret that thing, because Jews don't particularly believe in Satan, but Sabbatean Frankism is essentially Jewish Satanism. And then antinomianism is actually something that comes from, other faiths like Christianity and Islam. And this was something that Sabbateans and Frankists, they embraced other ideas from other radical ideas from Christianity and from Islam. Both of them mixed in different ideas from these faiths. Antinomianism is essentially the idea that, and this is why it's almost crucial to understand it, because it's the idea that it's through transgression that you achieve, a heaven or like, nirvana or a state of grace or whatever. Antinomianists believe in breaking the law. In the Christian version of it, it says you can ignore the 10 Commandments if you are blessed with faith or grace. And there's an Islamic version along similar lines. But Sabbatean Frankism is more radical interpretation of it. It believes that, Frankism particularly, it believes that, through embracing the most obscene perversions of, like, say, marrying your father and leading the country of France, or going to Epstein Island and raping a bunch of children, that is the pathway to salvation, believe it or not. So that's why it's interesting to talk about, because, when you hear these things about, like, Epstein Island, when you hear things that, Emmanuel Macron might be married to his father or is married to a man. It's just so strange. And you just wonder what evil is this? God, Lord, what evil is this that is motivating them? It is a philosophy called Sabbatean Frankist Antinomianism, ladies and gentlemen. And it sounds incredibly complex, but it's not really that hard to understand. It's essentially like a serial killer, like Ted Bundy, who thinks that all the murders he was committing was a good thing and that was his pathway to heaven. I mean, it's the kind of thing that maybe somebody who's absolutely psychotic or severely mentally ill, would think, or is an incredible sadist. So this is what we're dealing with, ladies and gentlemen, and it's reached the top levels of our government because it's not only, Brigitte Macron and Emmanuel Macron. There's the rumour that, Obama is married to a man. Michelle Obama is rumoured to be Michael Obama. So, I mean, at least we can say that Michael Obama isn't, the father of Barack Obama. That's at least a plus, but, he can still well be married to a man as well. So, again, that would be another iteration of Sabbatean Frankist Antinomianism. Just get that in your head, right? Sabbatean Frankist Antinomianism, because that is one of the great ills of our age, ladies and gentlemen. You may not fully understand it. I don't even think I do. But it's something we've got to think about, and that's what we're doing today at the Report from Tiger Mountain.